you for watching Lango News channel. Mr. Kony instructs OT to attack Gulu, Kitgum, Lira, and Pader. Still in 2003, Kony begins to target also the Lango and Teso regions more specifically. Commanders are to hit Lango areas mercilessly and then proceed to Teso. Let Odhiambo go and kill Langi tribes from the old to the kids. Okot Odhiambo, Stokri Brigade commander, then instructed his subordinates to proceed to Abia IDP camp and to kill everyone there, both soldiers and civilians, to burn the houses, including with people inside. And that is what they did. 3 weeks later, Your Honors, the LRA attack Barlonio IDP camp and kill over 300 people there.
Very well then. We do have some time so that the prosecution can begin their submissions on the merits until 1 p.m. and then we will continue after lunch. All right then, prosecution, you have the floor.
Madam President, Your Honors, my name is Leonie von Braun, and I will begin the prosecution's merit presentations now. Our submissions by the prosecution team will follow mainly in the order of our document containing the charges, with a few exceptions, as you will see. I, for my part, in the following half hour, will deal with the question why we have charged Mr. Kony pursuant to Article 25(3)(a) as an indirect co-perpetrator, relevant to counts 1 to 29, and in the alternative for ordering and inducing these crimes. One moment, please. I'm not sure whether our presentation is on the screen.
Now it is.
Yeah?
That screen is off.
Okay.
Yes.
Evidence channel 2.
Apologies, yeah. So just to recap very briefly, counts 1 to 14 relate to 7 attacks on IDP camps and the attack on the Lawala Girls' School. Counts 15 to 29 relate to the systemic crimes against women and children. In turn, today and tomorrow, my colleagues will address the evidence underpinning these charged crimes as executed by LRA fighters. Finally, our merits presentation will conclude by trial lawyer Henderson with the charges on individual perpetration of crimes. Now, Your Honors, let's look at the LRA. Mr. Kony and LRA commanders could rely for the obedience in the execution of their orders to commit the charged crimes on a reliable pool of persons, the LRA fighters under their control. Kony used the LRA to subjugate the will of its fighters who executed the crimes. The LRA fighters functioned as tools, and accordingly, Your Honors, their conduct is attributable to Mr. Kony. The evidence shows that he was the uncontested leader of the LRA. Witnesses with knowledge of the internal structure refer to him variously as the overall leader, chairman, president, chief commander. I refer Your Honors to the references cited at footnote 7 of our brief. For instance, UGA OTP 01500063 at paragraph 12. Further, Mr. Kony shared a common plan with his second-in-command, Vincent O.T., and other LRA commanders. And what is it these men wanted to achieve? As demonstrated by the sequence of events charged in this case, the LRA co-perpetrators wanted to attack civilians in northern Uganda, whom they perceived as their enemies, because they believed them to support the government, a government the LRA was at war with. But they also wanted to sustain the LRA, including by abducting thousands of women and children. The charged crimes were all executed through the organized and hierarchical apparatus of power that was the LRA. Control Altar was a governing body and a type of LRA headquarters. It included posts like Army Commander, Deputy Army Commander, Chief of Staff. Those who operated LRA radio communications were also stationed there. There were 4 brigades: Sinia, Stokri, Gilva, and Trinkle, each led by a commander. The brigades were further divided into battalions, each equally led by a commander, and then further into companies known as KOIs. From September 2003 onwards, Mr. Kony created a division called JOGO. In the charged period, the LRA numbers fluctuated, but the system of abduction ensured that there were always sufficient numbers of fungible individuals to support a core fighting group of at least hundreds of fighters. And I refer you to the evidence provided by P455 at UGA OTP 0000865, pages 7 to 10. Now let's look at the men within this hierarchy more specifically, those who commanded this hierarchy. Throughout the charged period, Kony remained the uncontested leader. Vincent O.T. was his deputy and vice chairman. He died November 2007. The command of the brigades changed over time by reason of promotion, demotion, opportunity, or death. Let us have a look at the individual brigade commanders now in turn. Until his death in late 2003, Charles Tabule was first in charge of Stokri Brigade and then became division commander. The prosecution alleges that Kony coordinated with Tabule on the abduction of the schoolgirls from Lawala Girls' School in June 2003. Buk Abudema was brigade commander of Gilva Brigade, then Sinia, then Stokri Brigade, then division commander. The prosecution alleges in particular his involvement in the attack on the Abok IDP camp. Dominique Ongwen, the convicted co-perpetrator, succeeded Abudema as brigade commander of Sinia Brigade. He was promoted by Mr. Kony on 4th March 2004, and I refer you to UGA OTP 0061 0002 at 0122. Ochan Bunya was brigade commander of Gilva. Charles Kapera was in charge of Stokri Brigade, Sinia, and then Trinkle Brigade. The prosecution also alleges his involvement in the Lawala attack. Okot Odhiambo was the commander of Trinkle Brigade, then Stockery Brigade, Gilva, and then he rose to Deputy Army Commander and Army Commander. Lakati was a Major General in Senia Brigade. He then served as Deputy Chief of Staff and then Chief of Staff. And the prosecution alleges his involvement, for instance, in the attack on Pajula IDP camp. But he was also involved in weapons distribution for Mr. Kony. UGA OTP 0000865, pages 1 to 5. Jimmy Ochiti was a colonel and chief of personnel in Control Altar. Nyeko Yadin was a chief of staff and army commander until his death in 2004. And finally, Your Honors, Raska Lukuya is counted by the prosecution among the LRA's top commanders. He consistently held high-ranking positions as Deputy Army Commander and Army Commander within the LRA. For the duration of the period charged, it was at least this group of men who collaborated with Mr. Kony, acting under his command, to use the organized and hierarchical apparatus of power as a means to control those fighters who executed the charged crimes, subjugating LRA fighters to their will. For the evidence on each commander and his role, I refer you to footnotes 9 to 19 of our pre-confirmation brief, more specifically. Your Honors, up to 4 times daily, these commanders would connect with Mr. Kony via LRA radio and report to him. And we have collected these communications, and they are evidence in these proceedings. They also met Mr. Kony either in Uganda or the Sudan. Insider witnesses, whose statements are before you, explain that Mr. Kony issued orders through Vincent O.T., who would pass them down to the brigade commanders. They, in turn, would implement through their fighters assigned to the brigades. Their descriptions overlap consistently, each describing similar behaviors over the charged period. Their descriptions are corroborated by intercepted radio communications, as summarized in paragraph 12 to 13 of our brief. Now, Your Honors, Mr. Kony also exercised control over the charged crimes in counts 1 to 29 by virtue of his essential contributions. All his essential contributions are directly linked to the attacks on the IDP camps, the abduction and enslavement of people, and the use of children in hostilities. The evidence is clear on this link. Throughout the charged period, Mr. Kony regularly issued orders to LRA commanders to attack, kill, mistreat civilians. And these orders, they translated into actual attacks. By virtue of the grasp Mr. Kony and his commanders held on the LRA, these orders were implemented. Kony felt unsupported by civilians in northern Uganda. One such example demonstrating his internal thinking is an example from a logbook of the early charging period in October 2002, of which there are many in the collection. Kony calls Acholi stupid. He wishes all of them are killed. He mentions that the LRA will produce a new Acholi tribe, which will be much better than the present one. he orders the LRA to start waging havoc, and that only LRA remain in Acholi land. UGA OTP 0068 00002 at 0058. Witness P138 describes attacks on civilians in Teso as a response to the establishment of local defense units and Kony's resentment against civilians who had moved to IDP camps. UGA OTP 0000607, page 22 and 25. I will now set out a few examples of such orders to kill civilians. The underlying evidence of these orders is summarized at paragraph 18 of our confirmation brief. The first examples are from early to late 2002. Among them is an order to start serious killing the people across northern Uganda. This conduct continues in 2003. For instance, Mr. Kony instructs OT to attack Gulu, Kitgum, Lira, and Pader. Still in 2003, Kony begins to target also the Lango and Teso regions more specifically. He instructs schools and universities to be attacked and students killed. Commanders are to hit Lango areas mercilessly and then proceed to Teso. On account of such orders to Tabule and Oti, the Lawala Girls' School is attacked on 24th June 2003. You will hear more of this later on today. Pajule IDP camp is attacked on 10th October 2003. My colleague will address that later on today. The orders continue, and so do the LRA's attacks throughout 2003 and 2004. I wish to concentrate a moment on Mr. Kony's actions in relation to the Abia attack on 24th February 2004, which is emblematic of his criminal behavior. Prior to the attack, Mr. Kony reiterated his orders to attack and kill civilians. On 23rd January 2004, he is recorded to have said, and I quote from the logbook, "Let Odhiambo go and kill Langi tribes from the old to the kids." UGA OTP 0254 4143 at 4208 4209. Okot Odhiambo, Stockery Brigade Commander, then instructed his subordinates to proceed to Abia IDP camp and to kill everyone there, both soldiers and civilians, to burn the houses, including with people inside. And that is what they did. Kony was so pleased with Odhiambo that he ordered him to conduct an even larger attack. I refer you to several logbook entries. For example, UGA OTP 0061002 at 0047, or UGA OTP 02427309 at 7364, as well as the testimony and statements of several LRA insiders, which we have summarized at footnotes 252 to 254 of our brief. 3 weeks later, Your Honors, the LRA attack Barlonio IDP camp and kill over 300 people there. After this attack, Odhiambo reports back to Kony, like he's done previously, like he's used to doing. around 23rd February 2004. He says to Kony, "The deaths were overly many. No living thing could be seen there." UGA OTP 0132-0026 at 0040-0044. On 13th March 2004, Mr. Kony promotes Odhiambo from colonel to brigadier. The LRA attacks continue pursuant to Mr. Kony's orders and result in killing, pillaging, enslavement at the charged attacks of Odek, Pagak, Lukodi, and Abok. But Mr. Kony's essential contributions do not stop there. The evidence demonstrates that the LRA, under his authority and under his directions, abducted thousands of civilians. P-71 explains that the order issued by Kony was to recruit civilians to join the army, and that this was a standing order. UGA OTP 0228-3708, pages 3730 to 3733. A demographic analysis of data of returnees resulted in a count of almost 11,000 abducted persons. On your screens, you find an excerpt of the results of the otherwise confidential report. The data is sourced from UGA OTP 00001133, page 3. Among the registered abductions, 22.6% were women and girls, and 77.4% were men and boys. This data supports the allegation on how one of the main aims of Kony was to abduct, to recruit fighters. Even more importantly, the data shows that 56.5% of the abductees were below 18 years old. This supports the assertion that Mr. Kony's aim was to sustain the LRA as a fighting force by creating an army of children. However, please note, Your Honors, that these figures are conservative. Only about 43% of all abducted children were actually registered. The actual numbers are most likely much higher. UGA OTP 0000942, page 3. And Mr. Kony also issued orders to abduct women. Insider witness P0233 testified that abductions of girls occurred habitually based on Mr. Kony's orders. UGA OTP 00000603, page 46. P205 testified that in 2002, prior to an operation, Kony issued an order to abduct beautiful girls, stating that, and I quote, "Whoever did not have a wife was going to get a wife." UGA OTP 00000657, pages 20 to 21. In this entry of 12th May 2003, Kony instructed his commanders that now they should seriously embark on abduction, that what he wants now is that many schoolgirls should be abducted and brought in the bush because they will help them as wives. For the record, UGA OTP 0068 0146 at 0161. Children, both girls and boys under the age of 18, were also systematically abducted. In a police report of intercepted radio communications from 6 May 2004, Mr. Kony ordered Vincent Oti and Raska Lukuya to abduct many children to replace escapees and defectors. And Lukuya answered that he will. UGA OTP 00170187 at 0189. Insider witness P70 testified that the standing orders concerned children who could walk, who could help you carry luggage, who could be trained to be fighters, age 10 and above. UGA OTP 00000598, page 28. Insider witnesses describe how Mr. Kony devised and enforced the rules governing the mistreatment of abducted women and girls. For instance, young girls were first made babysitters called Ting Ting, and matured girls were forced to become wives. My colleague, Ms. Sanyu Ndegira, will today present the details on this and how this was implemented in practice. Kony also decided on the distribution of abducted women within the LRA. In a logbook entry of June 2003 from UGA OTP 0068 0146 at 0229, which appears on your screen, Mr. Kony gives precise instructions to an LRA fighter named Angola. Angola should give one lady to OT, keep one for himself, and then he instructs Angola to attack seriously in abducting more schoolgirls to replace their old women. P138, a former LRA member, and I quote from his transcript here now at UGA OTP 0000607, page 28 to 29. If you refuse to go to a particular husband, that means that you do not want to live. That means that you will be killed, and you will be killed immediately. So you make the decision. Do I want to live or do I want to die? And Your Honors, Mr. Kony led by example. The evidence shows that he made abducted children into his own escorts. I refer you to P23 at UGA OTP 01500063 at 0066 and 0070. Witnesses describe that he forced many women to become his wives. We have summarized this evidence at paragraph 56 of our brief, but you will hear more about the extent of this practice later on today. Mr. Kony and LRA commanders exercise control through a violent disciplinary system, implemented especially against low-ranking LRA members. Punishments for breaking LRA rules were immediate and brutal. They included beating, whipping, stabbing. And again, low-ranking LRA members were, in general, abducted children. The punishment for trying to escape was often death. P172 testified that Kony himself would tell them, "If you try to escape, I will kill you," The witness states that Kony would have his informants everywhere in the LRA, and that's why everyone was scared. UGA OTP 0000962, pages 12 to 13. The punishments extended to the abducted children. They were subjected to excruciating beatings, sometimes for little else than dropping food. Kony issued orders on military attacks and operations. For instance, he ordered the Teso campaigns and put Oti in charge. UGA OTP 0208-0146 at 0152. According to insider witnesses, he made orders on where to move on the front line via the radio, and then details were left to OT to communicate. UGA OTP 0220-0068 at 0074. Kony was promoting and demoting commanders. I gave the example of Odhiambo today, but there are other examples throughout our evidence. Logbook entries across the charge period show how the LRA commanders reported their loot from operations, including weapons, to each other and to Mr. Kony via radio regularly, and that Mr. Kony then weighed in on the distributions. An example is UGA OTP 0232-0234 at 244. Your Honors, when looking holistically at the evidence, there can't be any doubt. Mr. Kony commanded the LRA. He and his co-perpetrators used the apparatus of power that was the LRA to control their fighters, subjugating them to their will, and he exercised control by virtue of his own essential contributions, not only to the common plan, its implementation, but to the crimes. Kony acted with intent and knowledge, which you can see from his own statements, some of which we have presented here today. But overall, his conduct is also of such a nature that it could only have been undertaken intentionally. And this concludes my presentation, first part of the prosecution's presentation on the merits. And I thank you very kindly for your attention, and we shall move into the break then now.
Thank you, Counsel. All right.
Thank you for watching Lango News channel. Please subscribe for more updates.